Good morning, dearest participants, honored speaker, and everyone joining us virtually. We welcome you to the International Webinar on Instructional Technologies in the Teaching of English. This is Karen Joy de Pedro de Racin, and I am one of your hosts today.
And I'm Charlie. It's a pleasure to be the faces that welcome all of you here in this virtual program.
To start, let us reflect on an insightful quote by George Couros saying, "Technology will not replace great teachers, but technology in the hands of great teachers can be transformational." Today, we are here to explore how instructional technologies can enhance our educational practices and help us make a significant impact through enriching our students' learning experiences.
That's right, Karen. Now, as we near the opening of our program, we would like to remind everyone that this is an online seminar via Zoom. Hence, it's best that we first recall some house rules for this video conferencing to prevent unnecessary distractions all throughout the session. All Zoom microphones are on mute by default, and we request everyone to remain on mute all throughout the program. You can use the raise hand feature if you have concerns and kindly wait to be acknowledged. You may ask questions on the topics presented by our speaker by sending them through the Zoom chat section. Your questions will be gathered by our open forum administrators and will be answered by a resource person at the end of her session. Kindly rename your Zoom name in the format institution family, institution underscore family, example, USGR underscore de la Cruz. Also, to maintain consistency, please use the virtual program background that was sent to you. If your internet connection allows, please turn on your camera for a more engaging atmosphere. Also, after the webinar, please answer the evaluation through the link found in call messages. Thank you very much. At this point, to grace the opening of this program, may I request everyone to please pause and have a moment of silence as we partake in the solemn prayer and in the singing of our national anthem.
Our ever-loving Father, the core of every reason, the source of truth. You who made the earth and the heavens are the ultimate goal of every knowledge seekers, the infinite wisdom, the cause of all that is good. We are truly grateful for this opportunity to gather together as a community despite the challenges we face each day. Yet you remained and gave us strength to carry on the responsibilities of bearing intelligence and using them for better purposes. We now humbly ask you to join us in our endeavor to explore the wonders of life in the world for knowledge's sake, that in whatever we learn today, we become more grounded to you, who is truth, who is love. We pray that you bless our speakers, the fount of your infinite knowledge, that they can share something worthwhile despite the limited time we have. They can channel all they know and share to us the beauty and truth of living as your child. We pray that you guide our participants, the seekers of your boundless knowledge, that they may continue to persevere in the search and be deemed worthy to share what they learn from today's session. Sanctify us, O Lord, not because we are worthy of it, but because we believe in your love and mercy, that at the end of the day, we can take home something that's amazing and meaningful. This we ask and pray through Christ our Lord. Amen.
Mga kababayan, ang pambansang awit ng Pilipinas.
A pleasant morning once again, everyone. This is the international webinar on instructional technologies in the teaching of English. Again, please be reminded that the registration, attendance, and evaluation links are all for the documentation of this event. You can access them from the in-call messages. Now, to prime us for this special learning occasion ahead, with her cordial address to welcome us all, let us have Miss Georgie Ambato.
Hello, good morning, everyone. My lovely greetings to our dear guests and participants, to the Dean of the School of Arts and Sciences, Dr. Marieta Boncales, to our esteemed resource speaker who will be introduced at the proper time. Thank you very much, Professora, for staying with us late on a Friday night just to accommodate and to teach us. Today's webinar on activated learning and on instructional technologies in the teaching of English is relevant and timely. Just like what Al Abdali wrote in 2016, that instructional technologies provided the educational system with unlimited various tools and options that enabled learners and teachers in the process of language development. Now, as teachers, we should learn to become proficient in using these different technology tools with and for our students. And ultimately, by doing so, hopefully, it will lead us to enjoy teaching these challenging subjects to our students. And so, in behalf of the organizing team, I would like to warmly welcome everyone. Good morning once again. Back to you, Ma'am Karen, Sir Kim.
Thank you, Miss Georgie, for that warm welcome. Today, we have an incredible group of participants from various backgrounds, and their presence would surely make this discussion even more valuable. For the remainder of this occasion, it is highly imperative that we recognize everyone joining us. To do this, let us hear a few words of acknowledgement from Mr. Eric John Auguist.
Good morning. And once again, I welcome you all to this international webinar on instructional technologies in the teaching of English. I believe that we have a diverse audience today, representing various institutions with different levels of experience in the usage of instructional technologies for English language teaching. It's wonderful to see participants joining us from Luzon, Visayas, Mindanao, and even outside the country. So if you are from Luzon, can I see a thumbs up reaction? All right. And if you are from Visayas, can I see a wow reaction on screen? And if you live in Mindanao, can I see a heart reaction? And lastly, if you live outside the country, can I see a clap reaction? All right. And so I encourage you all to actively participate in the discussions and sharing, and by sharing your own experiences and insights during the open forum later. Without further ado, let's begin our exploration of how instructional technologies can enhance the teaching and learning of English. So back to you, Ma'am Karen and Sir Charlie.
Thank you very much, Sir Eric. Your acknowledgement of our diverse audience sets the stage for a truly enriching discussion. We've gotten off to a great start, and now it's time to learn more about our keynote speaker. Before we welcome her, let's first welcome Ma'am Leah Marie Ibuna to give us some fascinating background information about our resource speaker for today. Let's give a virtual applause to Ma'am Leah Marie.
Right, thank you, Sir Charlie. Our highly esteemed speaker for today is an award-winning educator and an established English teacher and researcher for more than 2 decades now. She is a highly qualified education expert, holding a degree in teaching English as a foreign language from the University of Guadalajara, Mexico. Her dedication to educational excellence is reflected in a series of certifications and diplomas from Cambridge, TESOL examinations, and the English Teacher Training Diploma from ProLex. An expert in educational technology, she holds 2 Google certifications for education. With an outstanding career spanning over 25 years, she has served as an English language specialist at the Higher Institute of Research and Teaching for Teaching ISIDM in Guadalajara, Jalisco, Mexico, an institution focused on professional training and research in the field of education. Its objective is to train education professionals as leaders, coordinators, and researchers with a high level of competence and aims to provide a high level of education and research opportunities for individuals pursuing careers in education. She has worked with students of all ages and levels, demonstrating exceptional ability to customize educational programs based on individual needs using humanistic principles, neuroscience, technology, and artificial intelligence. Moreover, she has shared her expertise as a teacher trainer in various educational institutions. She has served as an international speaker at significant organizations and universities such as Max TESOL, FIID, Recrea Academy, University Scholars Association of the Philippines Incorporated, iStar, ASTR.org, among others. She has made an indelible mark in the publishing field with her participation in notable projects and author of the trilogy, The Six Faces Method to Train English Sounds, demonstrating her deep commitment to education and language improvement. Awarded the Recrea y Comparte 2020 award, she impacted thousands of teachers by facilitating technology use during the pandemic. Recognized nationally and internationally for her excellence in language teaching, specializing in pronunciation and public speaking, she has delivered over 150 conferences. Additionally, as an EduTuber, she shares free English classes for high school students, benefiting thousands of young people globally. Her research interests are on the benefits of the IPA in the teaching learning process, practical methodologies to address grammar, and the systematic use of artificial intelligence to enhance learning. Ladies and gentlemen, help me welcome with an astounding virtual applause to Profesora Cristina Mauricio Cerda of Instituto Superior de Investigación y Docencia del Magisterio, Mexico. A big virtual round of applause, please.
Hello, hello. Am I audible?
Yes, you are, Professor.
Yes,
And,
Professor.
and can you see my presentation?
Yes, Professora.
Yes,
Yes,
we can as
Professor.
well.
Thank you. And am I visible?
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
very.
Looking gorgeous, Professora.
Thank you so much. Well, let's start. I heard that I have about an hour and a half to teach you some of the best methodologies and technologies that I've been using for more than 25 years. Ready? But what about if we start with a story? Do you like stories?
Yes.
We do.
That would be perfect.
Professor.
Let me tell you one. Once upon a time, in a far, far, far away kingdom, there was a king, but the king was not happy. He had everything he wanted. He had money, he had castles, he had a lot of things, a lot of gold, but he wasn't happy. One day, he observed a man and he was very poor. And the man, without any gold, without any house, without any family, was singing and dancing and was so, so, so happy, full of joy. And the king got jealous and he said, how come this guy, without anything, has this amount of joy. So he was sad. And his advisor saw him and said, what's the matter, King? And he said, look at that man. He has nothing and still he's so happy. What's the problem with me? And the advisor told him, you know what? I'm going to help you. We are going to make that joy of that man to disappear. Do you want that? And the king was so maleficent, and he said, yes, I want to see him sad. The next day, the advisor took the king to the place where the poor man was sleeping, and they put a bag with gold. So when the man woke up, he was smiling without any food, without any gold. And then he saw the bag of gold. And the man was astonished and started counting the coins. 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 91, 92, 93, 94, 95, 96, 97, 98, 99. And the man said, no, there is a problem here. And he started counting again. 99, 99, 99. And that man started feeling so anxious, sad, because he was looking for the gold coin he thought he has lost. What am I telling you this? How many times we have so many things and we are not happy? We are waiting for the last coin of gold that we think that we have. And I want you to translate this story to your teaching. We all are here teachers, right? How many times we have 99 different methodologies, tools, gadgets, books, activities, and still we are unhappy. Has it ever happened to you? That you are always looking for more and looking for more and looking for more. And now we have augmented reality and we have so many things, and artificial intelligence is going to take our jobs, and we are stressed and we feel that something is missing. Today, I'm going to be telling you some of my best activities that I've been using with my students. And also, not only with technology, I know that the topic here is technology, but we can have so many things more. Let me know something. Can you see my presentation, guys? Yes?
Yes,
Yes,
Professor.
Professor.
So welcome all of you. And we are going to start. This presentation was based on Google for Education Transformation Report in 2021. In this report, they are mentioning 4 very important things in education, in general education, not only language. One is equity and inclusion. Number 2, empowering educators. Number 3, transforming learning. And number 4, data and analytics. So I was trying to organize in the different in these 4 categories the things I want to teach you today. Please feel free to ask. Feel free to interrupt. Raise your hand, please. If you have any question, I can help you. Remember that it's not only to have an e-certificate here in this amazing webinar. This is for you to learn and for me to learn too. I'm going to be learning a lot from you today. And I really want you to ask if you have any doubts or you would like to tell us how you are implementing these technologies. Ready? So let's go with the first one. Equity and inclusion. The UNESCO says that there are millions and millions and millions of children, teenagers, without education. They don't even know how to add, how to read. Let's not talk about critical thinking or innovations or things like that. In the report that I was mentioning, I was investigating, and they have these 3 things. In order to have equity and inclusion, the first thing, everybody needs to have access to technology, right? And here are some ideas. You can partner with tech companies for device donations to English learners. It is true that if a student doesn't have a device or doesn't have internet connection, the person cannot do, our students are not going to be able to do all the great things we can do with technology. Also provide Wi-Fi hotspot for students' home use, create a lending library for devices to support English practice at home. This could be great. And the context is going to vary. But for example, in my country, in Mexico, many students, they do not have access to a device, not even for internet. So it's difficult because there are so many things we can do with technology, but if they are not having a device or they don't have internet connection, they cannot do anything. Another thing is going to be have tools for all. And here are some ideas, and I'm going to be giving you my own ideas. One could be to use screen readers and text-to-speech tools for language learners, provide translation software to support multilingual students, ensure language learning apps have customizable settings for diverse needs. And I'm going to be showing you some of my resources. Have you ever heard of this app? Let me know. Yes, no, I can see some faces that are saying yes. Here we have Charlie Birdie. You have used it?
Not really, Professora.
But have you ever heard of it or not?
It's quite familiar, Professora.
But the app, have you ever used it or not?
No, not yet, Professora.
Not anyone. Let me see here in the comments. No? Okay. Let me tell you something. This app has artificial intelligence. It has an algorithm for speech analysis, right? Once you enter to the app has free activities. You can buy it, but I'm going to recommend you to use the free content at the beginning. But let me tell you something. Once you have the app, you have a diagnostic test. Let me show you something. In this text, it's going to tell you about the sounds. We have 40 sounds for English, American English. For British English, we have how many? 44. We have a little bit more. But let me tell you something. This is a report I have for my students. So, for example, here we have the sounds that Elsa is categorizing. And when you do your exam, you can do this for free for your students. So it's amazing. You have no idea how good it is. And for example, the students can know what sounds they do not know. And I have always thought this. Imagine we have a puzzle with 40 pieces, the sounds. Imagine that you only know 19, for example, in Spanish, we share 19 sounds with English. Spanish speakers and English speakers, we share 19 sounds. There are 21 sounds that our students do not know. How in the world are they going to have the knowledge to get the message of the words, to get the meaning, to pronounce, to communicate effectively if they do not even know the sounds? So with this app, the first thing you can do for free, you can have this test. If you are interested, I can share, I have a PDF with instructions. So you can do it. It's going to be quite interesting to know what are the sounds that you are having still some problems with, and it's normal. But also with your students. What I have found, look at the ones that are highlighted. For example, this student, she was my student in the year 21. She was studying with me like 4 months, and then she left. She came back 1 month ago. No, 1 month ago, no. She came back 3 months ago. But she continued studying with Elsa. She was doing the activities. Can you see how well she is doing now with the sounds? For example, with the schwa, she had 32%. Now she has 84. Some sounds, for example, sh, j, ch, j, that are so difficult for people that do not speak English. with activities, now she's improving. And now she understands better, she speaks better, she's more confident. And I have found that these kind of apps, there are not a lot of them with language, with speech analysis or speech recognition. But for example, this one, I highly recommend it. Remember, it's free. You can do the diagnostic exam for free. You can have some activities for free. And one of my favorite things that I have with this app is that you can create your own list of vocabulary. For example, if you are studying verbs, the past endings. Remember, we have played, danced, learned, cleaned, the pronunciation at the end. You can make your list of verbs in the app, and then you can share the link to your students. And then your students are going to be doing the exercise, and the app is going to tell them with the algorithm how well they went with an accurate percentage. So they get amazed. For example, in the sounds, they have colors. If they have red, it means that they need to practice more, and they give examples how to do it, how to move the mouth, the tongue, the position, if it is up, in the middle, down, in the front, in the center, in the back. And let me tell you something. I am in love with the sounds, with the International Phonetic Alphabet, and I use it as how could I say, as a pillar in my methodology. I start always with my students, teaching them the sounds. I created a pronunciation course. And when I receive new students, I am personalizing their courses, but also I offer them the pronunciation course. So with Elsa, you have no idea of how different my classes are. I remember that in the past, I used to be very frustrated because my students here, English is as a second language. So I was teaching and doing a lot of activities, imagine, for more than 25 years. And when my students came back from vacations and they were coming from the States, they told me, teacher, what you are teaching us here doesn't work. And I was like, how can you say that? And they told me I couldn't not even ask for a cup of coffee. I couldn't even buy something. And after so many years of teaching, when I just started working on my own or on my startup as a language academy, I discovered that we have to be always doing research and always paying attention on our students' needs and also evaluating them. Because if we are not aware of their progress, maybe we have great classes and great materials, but the point is that they communicate, that they can have better jobs, they can succeed in their careers, they can travel, they can do so many things with the language. So it's a big responsibility, the one that we have. And I discovered books are excellent. I love books. I'm not going to tell you that I'm not using books. But I use a lot of technology. And it has helped me a lot, and it has changed the way that I teach. For example, here, guys, in this report that I do to my students, I do two comparatives. One is with the IELTS, and the other one is with the Common European Framework. So if you can see here, my student, this one started in A1, right? After 4 years, well, 3 years, but she was not studying continuously. She is in level B2, and now she can communicate in English a lot. And it's amazing. She's studying now her PhD degree. I met her when she was studying her master's degree, and she was afraid of speaking. So with this tool and more things that I'm going to be teaching, she can speak very well. And for example, your context is different. I heard that your students, they already speak English. You use it more as a literary things, academic things, how to develop public skills, but also we all, in any language that is not our, English is not our native language, we still know about the sounds. So this app, it's focused on pronunciation. It also has courses, has an IELTS, has, I don't remember, I think it has a TOEFL course that they can do on the app. And it is just amazing. Let me continue sharing my presentation and let me know if you can see. And if you have any questions, please let me know too. Can you see my presentation?
Yes,
Yeah.
Professor.
Yes, Professor.
Thank you very much. What do you think about this app? Kindly share your comments. I want you to try it out. Go to your Apple Store or Play Store and find it as Else Speak. Remember, every time that you see the payment, I recommend you to try it first. If you fall in love with the app and you need it for deeper knowledge, you can buy it. It's not expensive, and I think it's great. It's so good for your students. And what I recommend you to do, guys, that you start using it. If you want my report, I can give it to Dr. Rosell so he can share with you, and you can use it with your students. It's going to be great. Imagine you receive your students, and instead of having any other diagnostic exam, they have this. And then you give them the report, and they know it's like an X-ray. They know how well they are doing with their sounds, and it's going to be very, very, very specific the way they are going to be learning. Ready? Let's go with the next one. Else Speak is the first one. Another one, Else Speak, you can use it in your mobile phone. And this one is a speech analyzer. You can use it only on the web. It's a website, and it is just amazing. Do you want to see it? Yes?
Yes.
Okay, let me show
Yes,
it.
please.
Yes, it's great. And when I am sharing the tools and the resources, if you are looking for them, I would love that you can share with us on the chat, okay? So for example, here we go to, you just type Elsa Speech Analyzer. And in this one, this is more focused on accuracy. You can try it out for free. You have like, I don't want to lie to you, but I think that are like 20 minutes. They are going to be recording you and giving you a feedback, very accurate, or how well your pronunciation is. For example, if you want a business interview, if you want a job interview, or you are going to have a business meeting, or if you are going to deliver a conference, you can try with this app. And Elsa will tell you how well you did in pronunciation, in vocabulary, in grammar, in intonation. If you had filler words, there are so many things that you can be working with. As I told you, for example, which of the following scenarios? Let me put class discussion. Continue. You are going to record your voice here. I would love to have a volunteer who would like to talk, to read this. Who says me?
I can, Professora.
Okay, so when you see the mic, let me put it. You are going to be reading this, okay?
There is no end to education. It is not that you read a book, pass an examination, and finish with education. The whole of life, from the moment you are born to the moment you die, is a process of learning.
And then this is new. when I started using, there was a storytelling. Okay, can you help me to do it again, please?
There is no end to education. It is not that you read a book, pass an examination, and finish with education. The whole of life, from the moment you are born to the moment you die, is a process of learning.
Beautiful. Let's see. I really love it. I don't know what is happening. Okay, can you help me to answer this? Why is learning English important to you, and what goals do you have to achieve? Ready? 1, 2, go. Come on, come on, come on, come on. Can you help me, please? Who was talking? I didn't see. I didn't see who was talking, Mr. Rusi. I think that your microphone is off, Rebecca. I think it was you. Yes?
Okay, so I'll read.
Okay, please. It is why is learning English important to you, and what goals do you have to achieve? Ready? Go.
English is important to me because it is the second language, considered to be the second language here in the Philippines. And what goals do you want to achieve? I want to be proficient in the language. I want to speak the language more eloquently and express myself through the English language properly.
Excellent. Thank you so much. And thank you, Rebecca. I think it was you, right? Because I was not able to see. Here, look, this is what you just said. Can you imagine your oral examinations with your students? How much work you are going to avoid, like a lot of time. The algorithm tells you everything. And then it gives you a report. This one, you can use it for free. Your students can use it for free as well. And one thing that I was thinking when I started using this is, are we as teachers are going to be useful anymore? They have everything there, right? But they do not have the human touch. For example, my experience with this app is that at the beginning, my students felt scared. They were felt threatened about it because it is very frustrating when they got low scores. So that's why the human touch, the human connection, the human feedback is important so they can improve. For example, here the app would tell you, dear Rosie, to stop using filler words. For example, as we have 1, 2, 3, and 4. And one of the greatest tips to avoid that is to be quiet. In that moment when you want to say use a filler word, it's because our brain is thinking, it's processing the information. And it is a big training because you need to know that those words are going to distract our audience. So we need to make a pause, think, and then talk. And it's better. So little by little, you can train your students. Let's see your result. And if we have it. Yep. I'm an Elsa user. I'm going to sign in with Google. Let me see. Continue. And here, for example, I'm going to show you some of their create a new recording. Here, I think I don't have more. We have minutes. For example, let me show you here. Students can have solo practice, or they can, for example, here, something for work, a mock interview, a practice test, a presentation, a test preparation. They can have group conversations, and everything is going to be recorded. Let me see some of the recordings of my students. For example, I have this. This student was going to go to the United Nations when she was looking for me, we have a training of 2 weeks. And this is great. Look, once they talk about anything, that's great because, for example, here in ELSA, they tell you to talk about a certain topic. But for example, you can practice a topic that you need, and it's going to give you the report. For example, this student, according to the IELTS, she is 4.5. TOEFL, she is 13. She has 13 points. According to the Common European Framework, she's a B1. A Pearson PTE, 24 points, and a TOEIC, 140. And it's very accurate. You can trust on these numbers, and you can have a great diagnostic with your students. Then look at this one, the score breakdown. Pronunciation, it tells the student your level, but also it's telling you what sounds you need to improve, and you can have videos, and also you can have here your transcript with all the sounds you were having some problems. Isn't it this amazing? I was like, for example, intonation. Here, it reminds you, remember that we have to stress nouns, main verbs, adjectives, and adverbs, right? So it's giving you how well your intonation was, and it's giving you this. All of this is what artificial intelligence. And for example, here, you can listen to your own voice, right? You can be listening here, and you can practicing and practicing again, right? You can even have contests with your students to see who gets the highest score, and it's challenging for them. For example, this student has 30 in fluency, right? And here it says that the average is 150 words per minute, and it has a tutorial. Also the pace, right? And it's giving you tips, pausing, and here, hesitations. It tells you how many filler words, how many hesitations you have, and it gives you suggestions. Also with grammar, it tells you your top grammatical errors, also your grammatical range, and it has an AI recommendation with ChatGPT. And it's amazing all the things you can be doing with this tool, right? It's free. You just need a tablet or a computer or a laptop or a desktop, and you need internet connection. And for example, vocabulary, she has native. We were working on the presentation that she was doing. That's why she has a very good vocabulary score. And it gives you recommendations of vocabulary. They suggest vocabulary to improve. For example, instead of achieve, attain, improve, enhance, support, supporting, program, and international, global. What do you think about this tool? I would love to see the comments, right? And if you find the address, kindly share. Let me put it here in the chat as well. Okay. And also in the chat, tell me, how would you use this with your students, right? What uses could you have for them? You have, for example, here I have 16 minutes left, right? I think that there are 20 or 30 minutes. I'm not sure. But for example, if your students are using them as a homework, they can use their minutes, and it's going to be amazing for this. All right, let's continue with the presentation. Let me know if you can see. Yes? Okay, the next tool that I have for you, it's UTDLR. Do you know it? Yes or no? No.
No.
How many times you have watched YouTube videos to learn something, right? And for example, you take hours and hours and hours maybe studying something. For example, here, Look, I'm going to look for Dr. Genaro Villaros. He has a lot of content, right? For example, here. And you're going to see more
motivos por
tools.
los que tu
Give me
equipo
one
de
second.
ventas querrá usar Monday Sales CRM.
Okay. For example, here we have this, doctor, right? Here, this is an extension, GPT for YouTube. And what it's going to happen is that you are going to have all the summary of the video. And also with emojis in seconds. Can you imagine how much information you can get and you can use with your students? Right now, the information is there. Give me one second. The information is there. We just need to know how well we are going to be using, right? For example, here I have the summary in English. And here I have the highlights, right? It is in Spanish. I can use it in English. And for example, here you can click and you're going to have all the transcript of this video. I'm going to copy here in our chat. It only lets me, well, I'm going to copy this. All right. And the tool that I was telling you about you, TDLR, let me put it here. In this one is the same. You can use it as an extension or you can use it here. For example, we can go here. What you are going to be doing, you are just going to copy the link of the video, the YouTube video. All right, maybe, for example, here. So, for this one, you have the video, and here you have everything what the video is saying. Isn't it amazing? Right? Then you can copy this and you can make a summary or you can make questions for your students. What I recommend you the most is that you teach your students how to do it. Because still, we're going to be working and working and working and working and working. And the students are going to be very happy, right? But if we train them with these simple activities, they can be processing information and it's going to be amazing. The other thing, it was, let me put it here. This is important too. It is, here are the extensions. And it is ChatGPT for YouTube. If you can help me to look for it and you can put the link, let me put it here. ChatGPT for YouTube. All right. It's going to be great. It's an extension. You just have to accept the extension. And every time you go to YouTube, you are going to have it here. What I love it is that it has a summary, it has highlights, it gives you emojis, and in the transcript, you can copy here, and then you can put it in a file, and or even in the ChatGPT, and you can be processing. All right, thank you very much, Mr. or Mrs. Lang. I see that you put it there. Let's continue with the next activity. Can you see my presentation?
Yes.
Yes, so far, do you think these tools are interesting, are useful for you, for your classes, for your students? Let me know, please. Yes, no, who? Yes, thank you, Georgie. Please write on your comments, okay? In this one, at the beginning, I just started using for songs, right? Or for movie or for TV shows, clips. It was great to have the transcript because students get involved with it, right? Also, it's good if they are doing their videos, they upload the videos to YouTube and they can get the transcripts and they can see any errors, mistakes. They can see you can detect on grammar. It could be a good analysis. Let me read some of your comments. Yes, I haven't encountered these apps before. Thank you. Very interesting. Thank you. Are very interesting, and you can use it. Yes, that's the point. The next one is going to be the speech analyzer. Next, word reference. This is a dictionary. I really, really, really love it because, as I told you, I teach a lot of pronunciation. It's one of the cores of my courses. I start teaching them the sounds. So, for example, when my students arrive, I tell them, you know what? You have had a code to pronounce or to know the pronunciation. For example, we as Spanish speakers, it is very difficult because we see English in one way, and then the pronunciation is completely different, and we don't know what is going on. For example, this word in Mexico, it is pronounced as college, collage, right? But for example, here students know that here they have the pronunciation. They can listen here, and we have colleague, right? And then if you click here, I don't know if I think I didn't put the microphone. You can listen the pronunciation. You can have the variation.
Colleague.
If you are using American English, British English, or any other accent, you can put it here and you can listen. So this is one of the first tools my students have. And I tell them, you know what? Most of the time when they have problems with confidence is because they have to present at their jobs and they do not know how to pronounce some words. Maybe one word they do not even know how to pronounce. Once they know the sounds and they know these phonemic transcriptions, in less than 5-10 seconds, they know how to pronounce. And it's a huge, huge difference. They feel very confident and it's just amazing. Ready? The next one, it's going to be, let me show you something. I wanted to show you a hack here. Look, when I discovered, I was like, oh my goodness. Right now, I'm studying French. And I am studying French with the techniques that I have discovered, but also with these tools. Let's think of a verb. It's going to be go, right? Here in this dictionary, you have English definitions, synonyms, English, Spanish, French, English, Italian. Well, you have many options. It's a dictionary in French, in Italian, in Catalan, German, Dutch, Swedish. It's not in Tagalog. Here we have Portuguese. Unfortunately, we don't have it in Tagalog. But for example, when you go here to the last option, English conjugations, you click here and wait for the magic. I don't know what's going on with my internet. It's a little bit slow. There you go. We have all the conjugations, right? And you can use this so your students know the grammar. Remember that we have only 12 verbs. Well, we have 3, past, present, and future. And we have the aspects, simple, continuous, perfect, and perfect continuous. And we have it here. So in this way, they have in one side all the tenses. This is for passive, for active voice. For passive voice, it is a different story. But for example, here it's a great, great opportunity so your students can have all the tenses at once. And it's not only for a thesaurus or to only be working with vocabulary or pronunciation. You can be working with grammar as well. And I think it's going to be amazing. Let's continue with the next one. Can you see? Yes, well, this one is to phonetics, okay? Okay, if you can find the link, kindly share here, right? And here, what you are going to be doing, you are going to be typing words or even sentences or even a complete paragraph, and you are going to have the American or the British phonemic transcription. For example, words as play. Sometimes our students have a lot of problems with the regular verbs, the ending sounds, right? Stopped. What else? Decided. Another one. Visited. Okay. I'm going to put the American transcription, and I'm going to put here that it's going to be next to the text in English, right? I can only have the transcription, or I can have line by line, or here is going to be the word with the transcription, right? You click here on showing transcriptions, and look, you have the words, and then you have the American phonemic transcription. This is what I teach a lot to my students, and they just love it. They can be listening to it, and you can be working with extra activities. I think it's going to be great. Let me show you another one. Let me know your thoughts about this one. I am so happy that you are going to try this in your classes. Joy de Pedro, I love the accent features of our reference. I think that makes it unique from the other online dictionaries. Yeah, I love, there are so many dictionaries, there are so many tools. What I was telling you from the beginning, you don't need to be hunting all of them. Maybe one, but if that one works very well, explode it, use it, explore with it, and then you are going to have great results with your students. Let me see. Very good. Yes, in the phonology class. Yes, I highly recommend you. Let's go to the next tool. It is going to be Gemini. Do you know it? Let me see. Yes, I can see that you use it a lot. Well, right now, I'm not using, well, I love books, but from 1 year ago, I started only teaching personalized courses. I teach courses for doctors, for engineers, for speakers, for architects, it is very specialized English. So I use this one, Gemini, and I use this one, the ChatGPT, a lot. What I love right now is that, for example, for the ChatGPT, anything that the chat gives you, it has some microphone, so you can be listening. You can be using that with your students, and they can practice, right? If you are asking for a story or a text or news or any kind of written paragraphs that you are asking your students, they can be practicing too. And it's great. I'm going to show you what I do with this chat. Ready? Can you see my classroom?
Yes, Professor.
This is some of the things that I do. And for example, look at this. These are classes that I am having. With Classroom, I have a great opportunity to have everything where I want. I can be even teaching French, right? For example, I have different students and I am personalizing. This is an air engineer. She designs electrical diagrams for planes. This is a great doctor. This is an English interior designer. This, I have another student. Let me see where it is. A fashion designer, right? And for example, let me show you this one. She's a fashion and interior designer, right? So for example, here in Classroom, I organize the menu of the class like this. Here we have the lessons, and here we have the resources. I, for example, have the Meet link, the diagnostic, what I just showed you. And then we have another for the progress. And here we have the lessons. For example, let's go to this one. Here we have the presentation. We have the reading exercise, the writing exercise, the listening exercise. Here we have the link, so where the student can practice the words that we are practicing. And I am giving a tutorial for turning in her assessments, right? And here I just copy and paste. I have this one with emojis in Gemini or in ChatGPT. I organize information, and it's a matter of a structure, guys. And it's great because my student, she's so happy. Let me show you, for example, here, I'm going to be checking her job. Let me know if you can see. She's an A1 student, right? So for example, she was doing here her writing exercise, and here she pasted the screenshots of the practice, of the ELSA practice. If you can see, here we have the words. Most of them are in green, and we have the grade, right? So it is a very good way to be working with your students, with Classroom. It's free. And also with the ChatGPT and with Gemini because I can be personalizing the courses. If you can see here, let me show you. Look at the lessons. My favorite movies, top TV shows, beloved books, hobbies and fun, dream destinations. I'm going to show you this presentation. We had it last class. Let me see. And let me know if you can see the presentation. Yes.
Yes.
Yes, Professor.
For this class, I use Gemini and ChatGPT. Most of the time, I use ChatGPT because I already have the structure. I'm going to be showing you the way I do it, okay? And it is very rewarding because my students are so interested in their classes. For example, we start with this. We start with a review. These are some words we had last class. It was about hobbies. She is an interior designer, so she was practicing. Then we continue with a review of intonation. I use it a lot with my students, and I highlight the content words where the stress goes. I told them that it's like a Zumba class, an exercise class, because they are talking and talking and talking. At the end of the class, they are, teacher, my mouth hurts, but they love it. Then we go to the phonemic chart. And this is the way I structure my class 3 times. It's going to be an activity for pronunciation, then communication. Here I am using the vocabulary and the pronunciation we were working, and we are working with grammar as well in the second part. And then we go to the reading part. I think it is very important. For example, this student, she's advancing the pronunciation course. So now she can read the phonemic transcriptions. And these are the words we are going to be working in the lesson. It's about dream destinations, so they are activities she can do. Once she tries to guess, my student did it very well, we see this, and then I record her. After that, we go to the phonemic transcriptions, we practice, we check the sounds, and finally, we record her again and we make the comparison. You have no idea, the students, how happy they are when they see their progress. In less than 5-10 minutes, they can see that they improved and that they helped. It helps them a lot, right? Now we're going to go to the second activity. Remember that she's an A1, and we are going to be working with these questions. For example, she's an A1, and here we are using present perfect, but she did it very well. As I told you, I'm exploring with my students, and I see great results. So they are a lot of drillings, and here she has the opportunity to be talking on her own, right, with the words. So we have this activity. And all of these emojis and the phonemic transcriptions, I get them from ChatGPT, and I get them from Gemini. It's amazing, the things that you can be doing. This slide is, this presentation, I don't do it on PowerPoint, I do it on Google Slides. And it's very practical as well. Well, when we have the speaking, then we go to the next activity, and it's a reading. So here, I also use the ChatGPT to get, and I personalize to her life. And for example, I teach them when we are having a story to start with the setting, the characters, the problem, the solution, and the theme. And we have like a competition because I'm recording her at the beginning, and then I encourage my students to read faster and faster and faster, practicing intonation, practicing stress, practicing to not open their mouth a lot so they can use they can use more schwas. And it is great. And finally, they have their homework as well. I am using this, the chats, Gemini and the ChatGPT, to be working with instructions. And I always ask them, what did they like? What did they learn? And what will they do with this information, right? So if you can see, I have some students, and I can be working with them in a personalized way. They are not bored. And you know what? I'm not bored either. I am very happy working with them, and I know that it helps them a lot. Okay, let's continue. Can you see the presentation?
Yes.
Professora.
Yeah. Before we continue, what do you think about it? Let me read your comments. Gemini, Google, thank you, ChatGPT. And about this one, it is very important, the prompts. And I believe that everything is about programming in our lives as well. Language is so important. The sounds are so important. For example, if I am saying, I feel very bad and I'm not good enough, then I'm going to have those problems, right? The same happens when we are programming our classes. If at the beginning I am thinking, my students are not going to like it, or they are not going to enjoy their class, or it's going to be difficult for them, guess what? It's going to be the same. So learning to prompt is instruction we give to these assistants. It's amazing, but also in our life. So here you need to tell the ChatGPT or Gemini or Pilot from Microsoft the context. Who do you want the chat to be? For example, when I start using these chats for my classes or courses or conferences, I say, you're an expert in education. Give more details. Tell what do you want, how you want it, right? And at the end, there is another instruction that is so powerful. How could you improve this? And you have no idea of the answers you are going to get. You're going to be amazed. And also encourage your students, because sometimes students can be just copying and pasting, and there is a problem with that, like an ethical problem, like only students are not thinking. But if you start exploring these tools, you can get a lot from them, a lot of benefits from them. And you can start working with critical thinking with your students, and you are going to be amazed of all the things you can do. Let's continue with the next tool that I have. Classroom. As I told you, you can organize all your classes. Even if you are not working with students, you can be organizing your projects. I know that you're very good using the Drive, but for example, here you can put the links, the videos, the texts, everything. So if you are working on a thesis, or if you are working on a project, if you are writing a book, right now I am finished my second book about pronunciation. And there is a great way where I can organize the information. Did you know that one of the the main objective of Google is to have all the information available for everyone? how many times we are struggling because we know that we have a great presentation, but we do not know where, right? And we say like, or we have great material, but we do not know where. For example, if you start using Classroom as folders, it's going to be more dynamic than Drive. Drive is also excellent, but I really like them because when you are going to start teaching another class, you just copy the class and you have all the information there, and it's going to be amazing. Well, remember that we are talking about the Google report. The first one was inclusion, right? And also that everybody has access to internet and to have different tools. The second one is empowering educators. I'm going to be sharing this with you. Here are some of the ideas. Professional development. Conduct workshops as this one on digital tools for English teachers. You have a check mark. Offer certifications for English-specific EdTech tools. If you explore Google courses and certifications, you are going to be amazed, and they are free. The certifications, they cost like $5, something like that, $5 to $10. I think the most expensive. I am a Google certified educator level 2, and it was not expensive. I think it was like $10, the second certification that I got. And then develop an online resource hub with ESL teaching tutorials. Here, there we are 55 people. If one person says, hey, let's start with a hub with ESL teaching tutorials or materials, imagine all the things that you are going to be able to use. Of course, you are going to be showing and offering and sharing, but also you are going to get the benefit of receiving the job of other people. And I think that is important. The next one, well, let me show you here some pictures. Here is with Dr. Rommel from Philippines. And he is great conducting this kind of events. Also here at ICIDEM with Dr. Santoyo. Here we have Mr. Russell. Look here, if you can see familiar faces, we were working, also collaborating. I think it is very important. It's part of the collaborative support. Establish mentorships program for new English teachers. I think one of the most difficult parts when you start as an English teacher is that you do not know what to do and you are so scared. I started when I was 13 years old. I remember I used to take a bus. I was out of the city. It took me 1 hour to go to the school of my mom. I was 13. And I was so happy because I had my handouts. I'm telling you, 35 years ago. No, 34 years ago. But I was so happy. But I remember when I started at the university, studying to become an English teacher, I was so scared and I was not happy anymore. The first job that I got, it was in a preschool. And I was crying because I couldn't stand the crying of the children. I couldn't know what to do. So it's so important to help and to collaborate with the new teachers because they are the next generations. I can see a lot of young people here and it's amazing. And let's be generous with the newcomers. I think it is important. Also create online forums for ESL educators to share strategies, organize tech talks, focus on digital tools in ESL education. There are so many things that we can use. Here, I'm going to be showing you, here we have in a workshop in Angola. This is the way I started 4 years ago, and it was amazing. When I saw this picture, I was so happy because I was sharing about methodologies to my friends in Angola, and they were asking me a lot of questions. They were kids from 17, 18, 19 years old. One of them is going all the country giving English for free in order to help the people. And you see stories that are amazing. Here I have another educator I recommend for English teaching, Ron Moraine. If you can find his Facebook page, go and follow him. He is just amazing. I remember that I saw an article about ChatGPT in February 2023. And from that moment, my methodology changed a lot. He has a lot of tools, resources, links you can use. But also, I encourage you to share, if you have your Facebook, your Instagram, your TikTok, or any social media, that you be generous and do not feel afraid. Whatever you have to share, it's going to be good for someone. And it's going to be amazing because more people will have the benefits of your great work. Okay, let's go to the number 3. We have transforming learning. I see that you put the ChatGPT link too. Very good. And here we have innovative pedagogies, right? Here, Google suggests to integrate gamified platforms for interactive English learning, that you can use virtual reality or augmented reality for immersive language experiences. I saw your video at the beginning. Have you used this new mask or devices? I don't know how to call them. I have the opportunity to investigate about it, and it's scary for us as language teacher because once the students get them, they can be practicing a lot the English. So we need to know how to use them. And also we need to be able to lead these students. And it's going to be good because there are so many things that are coming. It is so fast, the way the technology is advancing. And if we are not aware of the things that are going, we are going to be left behind. Also, here we have developed project-based module focused on English usage. And I'm going to give you some ideas, all right? Well, one is, again, the Chat GPT, where you can be using this. Another one, Gemini, as I was telling you, Google Classroom. But for example, here, Google Sites. Have you ever used Google Sites? Yes, no, never? Well, it's free. It's from Google. If you can find the site, please go. And for example, here you can have a website for free, right? And you can have this. You can have this tool, and you can create portfolios, digital portfolios for your students. They can be working. It will be participative. It could be participative job. They can be working on any kind of project. They can be uploading videos, images, whatever they want. And it's amazing. Let me show you one that, well, I have some of them with my students. Last year, I was working with a group of 20 teenagers. It was a summer camp, and it was amazing. Let me put it here. You just put sites. Let me see. Can you see? Google Sites. Let me see if it is this one. Let me put it here. Okay, for example, these are some of the ones that I have. Okay, let me wait so I can charge. Can you see or not? Okay, this is the one that we did with my students. This one, Global Citizens. The students were level A1, right? So this is the page we all did. Let me show you how it is. Okay, let me wait a little bit. For example, here, my students did all of this by their own. So here we have the cover for the web page. And it was part of Recrea. We uploaded these videos about citizenship. And here, one student was in charge of one country. So they were investigating, for example, this student was in charge of Canada, right? She put the national anthem of Canada, the description of the country. All of this was done by the students. You can do it, and it's free. All right, you can have a soft copy of this presentation, so you can get all the resources that we are using. And for example, here we were working with describing the people and also the places and also the activities they can do there. Look, the food, oh, it is delicious. Also artists and a reflection about the country, all right? Imagine you can do this kind of portfolios with your students. You are talking about literary movements, about, I don't know, depending on your classes. For example, this one was working on France, okay? The same. This student put the national anthem, the description, and how do you do this magic? It's like a PowerPoint. It's very intuitive. It's so easy to use. For example, when you are working on it, here you have the tools. Here you put the text, the images. You can upload your drives from Google Drive. You can incorporate links. And do not feel scared. For example, here, the student put this, right? This picture. But if you want to change, you can use another one, for example. I'm going to replace, right? Here, I'm going to use an image from Google, right? You click here. And I'm going to put here France. So I want to use this one, right? And immediately, I'm going to have the new image. For example, the background. I want to change the background. So I can use this style, or I can use this one, or I can use this one, or I can even use a different image, right? But I think that the one that my student had, it was great. But for example, here I have some options. I can have Google Images. For example, I like the clouds, right? So I'm going to be using this. And I'm going to insert. And here I have it. And for example, you say, oh, Christy. Now let's change the font. You can change the color of the font. For example, you can put it in blue, and your students are going to love it. Instead of doing the regular presentations, they can do a web page. One student works on a different topic, and then they all present in a digital way, right? What do you think about this one? Do you like it? Yes, no, okay. Well, let's continue. We almost finished, guys. And if you are interested, I can share you to use some of this with more details, how to use these tools. Another thing, effective assessment. Use digital tools for formative assessment in language skills. I told you how frustrated I was with my students. They got good grades during the course. I was working in a secondary and also in a private school. But I discovered that the assessment is fundamental, it's essential, and we need to have good resources to assess, right? For example, this one, the one that I show you, could be a great portfolio. For example, maybe the student is very nervous and cannot answer correctly an exam. But for example, the student can give a great presentation. Don't you think the student has the abilities and the skills to communicate effectively? And if you are using artificial intelligence with the algorithm, you can record and then you can see and you can tell your student how well they went. And if they need more help, you can give them that feedback too. I was maybe you are very familiar with this one, Google Forms for quizzes and assessments. I think it is very good. And the last thing that Google suggests, data and analytics, right? So first, use language management systems to analyze data on English language proficiency, implement predictive analytics to identify struggling learners. In the new workspace for education for Google in Classroom, the version that you pay, you need, no, you have artificial intelligence. For example, imagine this is crazy. You assign a task, right? And then your students answer. And the algorithm sees what are the problems your students are having and suggests activities for the students to reinforce. It is amazing. There was a study that says that if we are using Google environment for education, we can save up to 14 hours of work. And it is great. Another one that I told you that I love is Else Speak for the diagnostic exam. It's great. Also, you can create lists or sentences, and then the app is going to tell you how well your students did it. And if you say, oh, teacher, but what about more free communication, not only drillings or sentences or words, you can use the speech analyzer, right, on the computer. And your students are going to be able to talk for 2 minutes more free. And then you can see their reports and to assess how well they were doing. I think this is better. I'm not going to say, and I'm not going to affirm, but I think that sometimes it is better than an exam. Students get very nervous on their exams. And I have heard that some of them get discouraged to continue practicing English because they get a very bad score. And I believe that an exam is not going to be something that will discourage you from learning. I think it's not okay. So I recommend you this. And the last thing I want to share with you is privacy protection. Establish clear policies on student data privacy and language learning. Educate on data protection best practices in ESL context. Nowadays, we are having a lot of webinars, a lot of communication with different people that we do not know, and it's dangerous. I do not recommend to open your classes so much. I have had bad experiences with it. So it is important that we are aware that we want to share, and it is great to be collaborating with different people from different countries, or even in our country, right? But we need to be taking care of our students to protect their identities, to protect their information, and also regularly audit security measures for language learning platforms. I think it's one of the things that are new and that we need to work more. All right. Well, here is my reference. I highly recommend you to go over this report. Remember, if you want a soft copy of this presentation, you can have it. And I want to say thank you. And remember, before we go, I was telling you the story of the king. Remember? Yes. Well, the story. Well, where was I? Yes, I remember. I remember something that happened. The poor man was very, very, very sad because the man was counting and counting and counting and counting the coins over and over and over again. And he was not happy because he thought that one coin was missing. He didn't know that there were only 99 coins. And I'm going to tell you guys, the same story can happen to us, right? How many times we already have the 99 coins and we are looking for the one that we do not know, but maybe that coin doesn't exist. Okay, so do not feel discouraged for the things that you do not know. I invite you guys, you are so young and you have a lot of energy and enthusiasm because you want to be sharing with your students, and I think that is amazing to recognize all your talents that you have, that you can embrace your skills, your strengths, and that you become aware that what you are doing is just amazing. Teaching a person how to speak, how to communicate is not an easy task. And it's not about you guys. It's not about your job, or it's not about your position. It's not about your salary. It's about life. It's about teaching people to communicate. And that is something amazing, 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 amazing. So I am very happy to be sharing with you. And I invite you to be aware of the 99 gold coins that you have. Thanks, Mr. Russell, for your invitation, and all of you for listening to me. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, Professora. It was indeed an innovative way on the exploration of instructional technologies in the teaching of English. Now, it's your turn to get involved. We actually have an open forum coming up where you can engage with our resource speaker and ask questions. Right, Ma'am Karen?
Indeed, Sir Charlie, I love the talk of Professor, very enriching. And this time we will have our participants will have the opportunity to ask further, right? Further questions or insight, share their insights through our open forum. And I believe this will be facilitated by Sir Lloyd. Sir Lloyd.
Hello, good morning. Thank you so much, Ma'am Karen. And once again, thank you so much, Professora Christina, for that insightful webinar. And thank you very much for gracing this event. And thank you so much for sharing so many things with all of us here. So for the open forum, I would like to remind everyone of the following. The first one, please use the chat function to submit your questions. And we encourage you to be concise and specific in your questions. Also, you're also given the opportunity to address your question directly to the speaker. So you just need to click the raise hand icon and wait until you are recognized. The second reminder, please take note that each participant is entitled to one follow-up question to allow time for others to raise their questions. And for the last one, the most important, let's maintain a respectful and professional environment for our discussion. So as you prepare and as you think for the questions that you want to direct to our speaker, Professora Christina, we are first going to give you some minutes for a break. Once again, for your questions, you may use our chat box. And later, you may also raise your hand by clicking the raise hand icon in our platform. Thank you.
And while our participants are on their short break, Sir Lloyd and Professora, we would like to remind everyone that after our open forum will be our pictorial. So while you're on break, and also fix yourselves or fix your camera so that you will be ready for our pictorial later on. Okay, back to you, Sir Lloyd.
Thank you so much, Ma'am Karen. All right, we'll have 1 more minute to allow our participants to think about the questions that they want to ask to our dear speaker. So come on, make use of that time to really think of the question that you think really deserves to be answered. So let's read it. Here's some of the comments given by our participants. So we have here from Jim Codera. Thank you so much, Professora. Same with Ma'am Dale. Thank you, Professora. From Vivo V2120, thanks for those fascinating inputs, Professora. Indeed, fascinating inputs. Wonderful discussion. Thank you, Professora. Thank you, Ma'am. What an informative insight. Here, Sir Ian learned so much. And Professora, he is saying you're such an amazing educator. And that is very true. Very generous of you, Professor. Thank you for sharing all those tools. Very informative discussion, enriching and inspiring talk. The best, according to Sir Eric. We'll surely utilize those useful technologies in our respective classes. Yeah, especially that in the 21st century, we need to really go with the flow and then to make as much use of technology as possible as these really improve the way we deliver content and learning to our learners. From Sir Marlon, thank you so much, Professora. I have learned a lot from your presentations. Oh, we already have here one question. Should we now start the Q&A, Sir Russell?
Yes,
Yeah.
go ahead. You may
I'm
start.
seeing one question here from PhD Ilang 114. Professor, the first question is, what are the problems that Mexican English students have in learning the English language? And how did these tools you have presented aid you in these problems? Again, what are the problems that Mexican English students have in learning the English language? And how did these tools you have presented aid you in these problems? That is a question, Professor.
Okay, let me tell you something. Mexico is below the United States, right? And maybe you think that we speak English very well, but that is not true. There was a research among 111 countries, and Mexico got the place 84 out of 111 countries. Can you imagine? And in Latin America, we were the last country who was able to speak English. So maybe you can see that we have big problems in our country. I think one of the main problems is pronunciation. Really. I've been thinking a lot. Imagine you have a puzzle, but you only have 19 pieces, right? There are missing 21 in Spanish. We do not know 21 sounds. For example, in English, we have 5 vowels, and in Spanish, we have 5 vowels. I don't know in your language, but for example, in Spanish, we have 5 vowels and 5 sounds. A, E, I, O, U. In English, we have 5 vowels, A, E, I, O, U, but we have 11 sounds for those vowels. Plus the diphthongs, that we have 5 diphthongs, there are 16 vowel sounds. I think that is a big problem. There is no training for the sounds. Students get English with methodologies that are not communicative. They do not understand the language, and they do not have opportunities to speak. I have to confess that I used to be very discouraged, very frustrated as a language teacher for more than 15 years, when I was teaching secondary, junior high students, because I was so tired working and preparing my classes, preparing my materials. But it was my job, not my students' job, right? It is different as second language or English as a foreign language. So I was wrong. I told you that it's as a second language. And no, English in Mexico is as a foreign language. So it is even more difficult, right? So the way I cope with this was by feeling frustrated, angry, anxious, sad, failure and failure and failure. But I remember Alba Edison, who invented the light bulbs. He tried 1,000 times how to create a light bulb. And once a person told him, hey, how does it feel to fail so many times? But he was like criticizing him. And he said, I didn't fail. I learned how not to do it. Now I can tell you that one of the best things we can do is to fail, to have that freedom to fail, but also to be very responsible, to be researchers, to see what is working, what is not working, and most of the time to pay attention to our students, to their communication abilities. It's not about passing an exam or having good scores. It's about being able to communicate. So to summarize, Mexico is not in a good place as an English-speaking country. I believe that it's the lack of pronunciation instruction. I really think that is a very, very, very area where it needs to take attention. And also the way that I've been working on my own process as a teacher, it's to recognize my weaknesses. It hasn't been easy. And also to be very humble, but also to love my students and to always look for better ways to improve. I see my first PowerPoint presentations, and now I see my presentation that I have now. And it's not that I am showing off, but I say, wow, now every presentation is like a lesson. It's a training where my students from the beginning up to the end, they are talking and talking and talking and talking and talking and talking and talking. And at the end of the class, it's like a Zumba class. They are sweating and they are happy, and they can see that they were learning and they were training and they were improving. And I think that is amazing. I hope that it answers your question.
Thank you so much, Professora, for the question. And I now have here another participant who is raising his hand. We have Sir Jiv Kudera. Sir Jiv, you are acknowledged. Please direct your question to our speaker.
Thank you, Sir Lloyd. Hello, Professora. Good morning. My name is Jeev, and I'm actually teaching in the tertiary level. First thing first, I just would like to thank you for being a blessing to us, for sharing so many insightful input about instructional technologies. And at the same time, we were actually inspired with the short story that you gave us, that as teachers, we should not be looking for that one goal, but make most of the 99 goals that we have. And you actually made us realize, Doc, about the importance of instructional technologies as to how it will empower, and at the same time how it will transform the learning environment or our classroom into something dynamic and engaging. Now, my question, Doc, has something to do with the current scenario or situation here in the Philippines, given that there are still actually a lot of classrooms, particularly language classrooms here in the Philippines, which are still using the traditional method of teaching. Now, other than what you have presented earlier, what other advice can you give to teachers who are just starting to incorporate instructional technologies in the English language, in the English curriculum?
Well, thank you so much for your question and for your comments. And I'm going to tell you what I did, right? I was working in a secondary. It was a great private school. And then I was working in a big company for, it was a language academy. But I felt kind of in my comfort zone, right? I got my payment, I got my plannings, I got my classes, everything was like very comfortable, right? And I'm going to confess another thing. I always used to choose level 1 for adults. I was so scared. I couldn't have imagined to be here in front of you. I was feeling like I was like this, that I couldn't share, or I couldn't give anything good to anyone. So I remember that life gave me a good lesson. I was struggling with my economy and I needed to teach private classes, something that I hadn't done before. So when I started giving my private classes, my chip changed, because if I was not doing a good job, and I'm not going to tell you that I was irresponsible or I didn't care about my students. I've always been very committed and very dedicated to my students, but it was different. I was responsible of my clients. My students became my clients. So if they were not happy, they were going to leave and I was going to continue with my money problems. So I remember that I was investigating a lot of new methodologies or how to improve it or how to do it better. But then I found something that it's amazing and I want to recommend you. I started learning a new language. And I remember that they told me that French was very difficult because of the pronunciation. So I've been working with my methodology in English, but also applying to French. And remember the rule, you're going to fail and fail and fail and fail and fail and fail so many times. Enjoy it. But now I can say my name in French. I can understand the structure. I can understand the sounds. If I had had this opportunity in the past to be learning about my own learning, how can I say, process, I could have helped my students better. So my recommendation would be study a language, the most scary language that you have. French, Chinese, Russian, Spanish. Spanish is not so difficult for you and it's not so difficult for me. And I've been learning that there are a lot of cognates. So I think that would be crucial to implement your methodology in order to learn something new. I think that would be.
Thank you so much, Professora. Sir Lloyd?
Yeah, thank you so much again, Professora, and thank you so much, Sir Jim, for that question. And Professora, we continue with the Q&A. So we have here a message, a question from Ma'am Gina Ompad. She's asking, what are the common challenges most non-native speaker in English encounter in reading comprehension? And can you suggest tools that could possibly aid solutions for these? Again, what are the common challenges most non-native speaker in English encountered in reading? And can you suggest tools that could possibly aid solutions for these? Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Gina, for the question. And for non-native speakers, I think that are the unknown words. As you know, we have cognates in all of the languages, right? But if we are not trained to see them, it's going to be a mistake. The first thing that I tell my students when I am in front of them is, well, I ask them, how many words are there in English? They do not have an idea. Some of the answers are 1 million or infinite number of words. And I tell them, no, there are approximately 180,000 words. That means, and I tell them, there are the 33% of all of the English words are cognates, words that are similar from our language to English. For example, in Spanish, astronaut, astronauta. Engineer, ingeniero. doctor, doctor, taxi, taxi. So what I do, I start training them about the cognates and to highlight the cognates so they start getting comprehension. When it's like a scaffolding technique because they are not starting from scratch. They already have the cognates. So I train them to see those cognates. So the unfamiliar words would be one of the most challenges that they have. Also, there are about 50 most common words in English. They are function words, articles, pronouns, prepositions. So I start teaching them those, right? So they start having that structure, and it's easy for them to get familiar with the with the understanding of the reading. Okay. So there are many tools. One of the tools that I didn't show you. Can I show you? Let me see.
Go ahead, Prof.
Where is it? It's one of them. Well, I have two. One is Natural Readers, and it is a platform where you can copy and paste any text, and a person native in that language will read it. But there is another one that I really like. This one is new. I just found it. Let me see, and let me share with you guys. And what it's great about this one in comparison to Natural Readers is that it's free and you can download the audios. For example, in your presentations, if you are reading something, you can copy and paste that text. For example, you can put it here. You can put it here, the text. Then you choose the language. For example, I'm going to use English. English. And then you're going to choose the voice. For example, here you have sample voices. There is some paid content. It's not that expensive, but for example, here you can have all of these different voices, right? So you choose the voice, paste the text, and then you generate the audio. But let me do something because I think that you have no sound. Let me share again. Yes, I'm going to be sharing the sound. Can you see now? Yes.
Yes.
And for example, here I have one class. She's a doctor. And we are, look at the title that I have, Healing Voices, Empowering Health Conversations in English. And this doctor wants to learn how to describe the cell. So for example, here at the end, we have the reading. And what I did, let me see. Wait, give me one sec. Okay, for example, here we have this one, right? I just copy this. And I'm going to put it here in this platform. And I'm going to choose the voice. I like Natasha. There are voices with different accents, but I like Natasha. And then I'm just going to click here to generate. In seconds, you get your material. And for reading, this is amazing because they can do the shadowing technique. For example, we are going to listen. Let me
study ecosystems and their components. It is essential to start with the
Can you listen?
fundamental unit of life, the cell. The cell theory, established in the mid-19th century.
So what I did, I downloaded the audio, and then in the presentation, I put it here. So when I have the class with my students, most of my classes, all of my classes right now, they are online. So I use the presentation. So for example, here I have the reading.
To study the ecosystems and their components, it is essential to start with the fundamental unit of life, the cell. The cell.
In that way, you can be practicing reading, and they love it. The thing that I was telling you, we highlight the content words, the nouns, the verbs, the adverbs, the adjectives. And when they listen, they can see that those words are stressed. So, answering to your question, getting aware of the cognates. For example, look at this one. This is what I do with them. First, we read without the highlighted words. And then we highlight the words, and then we read again with the audio. Look.
The cell is the fundamental unit of life, performing all vital functions. The nucleus houses DNA, the blueprint for all cellular activities. The membrane regulates the entry and exit of substances, maintaining cellular integrity. Enzymatic reactions crucial for metabolism occur in the cytoplasm. Each organelle within a cell has a specific function essential for survival.
So imagine the impact of the students when they listen to their audios at the beginning and at the end after the practice, right? And I explained them, you are going to sound completely different. You are not going to be the same in your native language than in English. And you are going to be get familiar with your new voice. You need to find your voice in English, and they love it. So that's the recommendation that I can do. Focus on the cognates, focus on the most common words, also on stress, and use these kind of resources to be sharing with your students, and in seconds, get the material for them. And also, I invite you to ask your students to get that material. And you are going to be surprised of all the things that they can share. Remember that it's how can I say? It's reciprocal. You give and then you receive. All right?
There you have it, Ma'am Gina Ompod, and thank you so much, Professora. And Professora, we're down to the last question that we'll entertain for this webinar. So it's coming from Sir Calvin Clyde Villamore, and he is asking, what are the approaches and methods in English language teaching you employ in online classroom environment? And is it still prudent to apply the monitor hypothesis theory and effective filter of Stephen Krashen for language development to student learners who are non-native English speakers? So again, what are the approaches and methods in English language teaching you employ in an online classroom environment? And is it still prudent to apply the monitor hypothesis theory and effective filter of Stephen Krashen for language development to student learners who are non-native English speakers?
Thank you so much, Kelvin. What approaches? I remember, oh my goodness, 37 years ago, I was in the university. That's a long, long, long time. And I remember that I studied all the methodologies, right? Jeremy Harmer, Stephen Krashen. But let me confess something. I was very lazy. I was so scared, but not lazy. I was very scared. And I used to do what the school or the academy told me to do. So if they were working with games, with gamification, I was using games. If they were working with communication, I was doing communicative activities. So I was doing what the school told me to do, right? Because I have to follow the rules and I have to follow the orders. But now, if you ask me, I can tell you that I am an explorer and I am always looking for different methodologies. And it's a trial and error because some of them do not work for me or do not work for my students. And that is great about teaching because you, not anyone, you are going to be in charge to see if it works or if it doesn't work. And once again, I invite you to prove those methodologies first on you. First on you. Start learning another language. Once the language that you are scared the most, once you see that it works, try it with your students. And you are going to be surprised. And of course, I think that it's prudent to apply the monitor hypothesis and also the affective filter because we are emotional human beings. And one thing, and this is something that I cannot I cannot advise less, really. This is a very, very, very important advice. Do not feel afraid of your students. They are as scared as you are, really, right? We are scared because we are worried about our jobs, the payment, the planning, the administrative work, about the things that we have to deliver, about our studies, about so many things, right? But they are more scared. And when you start talking to them in that level, then you are going to find out, I can help you. I can help you speak. I can help you communicate. And it is something amazing the way you are going to help them to improve their lives, to have better positions, to have better opportunities, maybe to get married, to travel to another country, to get more income for their families. What we are doing is important. Communication is one of, I would say it is one of the most important skills human beings have. And that's why we are having so many problems around the world. If human beings, if we knew how to communicate, there wouldn't be so many wars, so many conflicts, so many divorces, so many problems at work, so many families destroyed, so many suicides, right? So what we are doing is so important. So don't feel afraid. Try them, use them, and always take care of their emotion of your students. They feel scared. Another thing that I have never, well, I have told sometimes this, but I remember when I finished my studies at the university, I said, I do not want to study anymore. I was so scared about university, about the professors, about the way they made me feel that I was not good enough, that there was something wrong with me, that I was always, I always had to prove to them that I was gooder to my classmates. And when I realized that most of my classmates were feeling the same way, many people quit schools because of that, that it's not okay. I know that the professionalism and the academia, it's important, but human beings are more important. So always take care of the emotions of your students. I think that is the most important.
I completely agree, Professora. Thank you so much for such, inspiring words. I'm so inspired, and I feel that, this webinar is not only source of knowledge, but also some, how do you call it, emotional advice in order to better, yes, to improve our teaching, because after all, we are effective beings. Thank you so much, Professora. And that is all for our open forum. I now return the microphone to you, Sir Charlie and Ma'am Karen. Thank you.
All right, thank you once again, Sir Lloyd, for such an incredible open forum discussion. And as well as for the participants, thank you as well for your insightful questions and engaging energy that really made it very dynamic conversation. So at this point of time, I'd like to respectfully request everyone to open your camera if your internet connection allows for a photo opportunity before we proceed to the next part of the program. It's time. Everyone is requesting to open your camera.
Okay, we will now take a photo. 1, 2, 3, smile. Another. 1, 2, 3, smile. And another. 1, 2, 3, smile. Okay. Okay, done.
It's all done, Sir Russell.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you so much for your participation, dear participants, for opening your camera. It's a wonderful snapshot of all the brilliant minds and inspiring faces in this virtual room. And before we proceed, let me just get this moment to share my appreciation to our speaker, which I also believe is the same sentiment of our participants and our facilitators. We thank you so much, Professora, for your very generous talk, and also your very enriching discussion. We believe we are very, very blessed with your presence this morning. And now, as we continue with our program, it is time to give you the recognition of our speaker and also our participants. To present the certificates of appreciation, please join me in welcoming Miss Manilyn Sablan.
Thank you, Ma'am Karen. Good morning, everyone. It is my honor to present the Certificate of Appreciation to our highly esteemed resource speaker. Let me read first the citation. University of San Jose-Recoletos, Magallanes Street, Cebu City, Graduate School of Arts and Sciences, PhD Elang 114, or the Seminar in Integrated Language and Literature class, presents a Certificate of Appreciation to Professora Cristina Mauricio Cerda of Instituto Superior de Investigación y Docencia del Magisterio, Mexico, for sharing her time and expertise as the resource speaker of the international webinar on instructional technologies in the teaching of English, held on July 20, 2024, from 9 a.m. to 12 noon via Zoom video conferencing platform. Given this day, the 20th day of July 2024, via Zoom video conferencing platform. Signed by Dr. Marieta D. Boncales, our course professor for PhD Elang 114, and at the same time, the Dean of Graduate School of Arts and Sciences. Signed also by Reverend Father Jose Alden B. Alipin, OAR, and the Vice President for Academics and Research. How about a resounding virtual applause to Professora Cristina Mauricio Cerda. Thank you so much. Professora Cerda, yes, on behalf of the PhD Elang 114 class and everyone present here today, we extend our heartfelt thanks for accepting our invitation and for the significant inputs you have shared. We really appreciate the amazing digital tools and apps you introduced that will help make our English classes more interactive and innovative. These resources will undoubtedly enhance our teaching methodologies and engage our students in new and exciting ways. Truly, you are an inspiration to us, Professora Cristina. Thank you so much.
Thanks a lot.
We would like also, yes po, thank you. We would like also to take this opportunity to acknowledge and thank all our participants for joining us in this webinar. Your active participation and engagement have been crucial in making this event interactive and fruitful. And as our token of appreciation for your involvement, we will be sending you an e-certificate of participation. Please ensure that your email address is correctly reflected in the evaluation form that you're going to fill out later, as the certificates will be sent to the addresses that you have provided there. Once again, thank you so much, Professora Cristina Mauricio Cerda, and thank you to all our participants.
Thank you, Ryan.
Okay, back to you, Sir Charlie and Ma'am Karen.
All right. Thank you so much, Ma'am Manilyn Sablan, for that. Yes, Ms. Carr.
Before we wrap up today's event, we would greatly appreciate your honest feedback on this webinar. It will also be our basis for giving e-certificates. Please take a few moments to complete the evaluation link, and that can be found in the chat window.
All right. So to conclude this insightful event, it's actually my pleasure to introduce our esteemed closing speaker, our very own PhD student at the same time, a research enthusiast in USJR. Ladies and gentlemen, to share some final thoughts and leave us with valuable takeaways from today's program, let's give a warm round virtual applause to Sir Russell of Shoma. Our virtual applause, please.
Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished speakers, participants, and fellow educators, as we draw this webinar to a close, in behalf of Professor and Dean Dr. Marietta Boncales and the rest of the English 114 class of the PhD English Language of the University of San Jose, Recoletos, we are filled with profound gratitude and excitement for the future of language, literature, and English language teaching. The webinar on revolutionizing language and literature research through AI tools last July 6, 2024, and today's webinar, the international webinar on instructional technologies in the teaching of English, were conceptualized for teachers of 21st century learners, an educational landscape which is a transformative era where innovation, collaboration, and accessibility are paramount. In the webinar of the Revolutionizing Language and Literature Research through AI Tools, as presented by our very young and dynamic resource speaker, Mr. Ian Harabello of the University of San Jose-Recoletos, we learned about the remarkable potential of generative AI to empower researchers and educators. Yet, as researchers embrace these powerful tools, we must remain committed to the ethical practices, ensuring that AI complements and not replace human research expertise. Moreover, today's international webinar on instructional technologies in the teaching of English, with our very beautiful and knowledgeable resource speaker, Professor Cristina Mauricio Cerda of the Instituto Superior de Investigación y Docencia del Magisterio Mexico, illuminated the dynamic landscape of digital tools such as ELSA, UTLDR, ChatGPT, Gemini, Google Classroom, and Google Sites that enrich language learning experiences. By harnessing these technologies, teachers can create engaging and inclusive learning environments that cater to diverse student needs and foster a love for language. I personally would like to thank our resource speakers, Mr. Ian Harabello and Professor Cristina Mauricio Cerda, for sharing their expertise much to the success of these endeavors. Gratitude is the memory of our hearts. I would also personally congratulate the PhD Ilang 114 class and the different webinar committees for successfully hurdling the challenge of organizing not just one, but these two webinars despite your individual busy tasks and schedules. As we move forward, let's continue to embrace innovation, collaborate across disciplines, and share our knowledge and expertise. Together, we can shape a future where language and literature research thrives through AI-powered insights and where English language teaching is empowered by cutting-edge instructional technologies. For our participants, thank you for your active participation and contribution to this webinar series. May the knowledge you have gained and connections formed during these webinar nourish your research, teaching, and learning endeavors. It is our hope that you use these learnings to pay it forward and nourish the nation. Thank you, and on to the next.
Thank you so much, Sir Russell. I couldn't agree more for that. But actually, this actually ends our exciting webinar. You know what, Ma'am Karen? This webinar is actually showing us the incredible potential of instructional technologies in enhancing the teaching and learning of English. The key takeaway is that technology is not just a tool, but a bridge that connects us to new ways of thinking, learning, and communicating.
Indeed, Charlie. Technology empowers both educators and students. It makes learning more interactive, personalized, and accessible. However, it is important to remember that technology should complement, not replace, the human elements of empathy, creativity, and critical thinking that are at the heart of effective teaching.
Yes, you're right, Ma'am Carr. And in the ever-evolving landscape of education, the integration of instructional technology has become a crucial component in the teaching of English. Let us carry on forward the insights and inspiration gained by today and commit to creating dynamic, engaging, and inclusive learning environments. By harnessing the power of instructional technologies, we can make a lasting impact on our students' educational journeys and their future success.
I couldn't agree more, Sir Charlie. Thank you for joining us, dear participants, in this exploration of instructional technologies. Together, let us continue to advance education and inspire the next generation of learners. This ends our webinar this morning. Goodbye and thank you, everyone.
Have a great day ahead. Bye.
Thank you, Professora.
Thank you, Professora.
Thank you, Professora.
Thank you very much. Goodbye, everyone.